Struggling with Cisco IOS commands? Ever typed a command and got hit with that frustrating ambiguous command error? What if I told you there's a faster way to master Cisco switches without memorizing every single keyword? In this video, you'll discover the CLI Shortcuts Pros used to save time, avoid errors, and take full control of your switch configuration. Stick around, because by the end, you'll be navigating iOS like it's second nature. Let's dive in.
We will now see the start directly on the switch. Here we see that it checks the flash drive of the switch. The next step will be to load the iOS image found on the flash drive. iOS images are stored and compressed in flash memory. The process of loading the iOS is to decompress the image and copy it into the switch's RAM. Now that the iOS is loaded, you will see something that looks like this. Here we see the version of the switch, a Cisco 3560, and the Cisco prevention banner. The next step is to check the flash drive again. And once it's done, it will run a whole set of tests. This process is better known as post. And finally, we see material info contained in this switch. Once the loading is complete, you will be able to see this type of message. And if the switch doesn't have a configuration, then you'll see this. If you type yes, you'll have the right to an assistant, who will guide you to perform a basic setup. Even without configuration, the switch will work properly and will do its job of switching if there are PCs plugged into it. Usually we skip the assistant and go straight to its configuration in line of command. After typing a no or entry button, we have this type of out. We arrive in user mode. The larger than symbol tells us that we are in user mode. In this mode, we do not have access to the entire configuration of the equipment. By typing the enable command, we enter into privileged mode, which can also be called the enable mode. If you want to go back to user mode, then you'll have to type the disable command. Here we are in the wonderful world of the CLI. We'll start by setting the time on the switch. Each time you type the start of an order, you can use the question mark to show all the commands that start with this one and that you can use. In this example, when I type CL plus question mark, the CLI offers me two commands, clear and clock. As we want to set up the clock, we will instead use the clock command. By just typing the clock command, the CLI returns us a message that it is waiting for more information. The order is therefore incomplete. Why don't we do it after the clock command? We can see that the order is incomplete. So we're going to type the clock set command. The order is always incomplete. Let's see why. The CLI asks us to specify the hours, minutes, and seconds. Let's not get angry with the CLI, and let's do what it asks of us. Well, the CLI is very capricious. Let's see what more she expects. She wants a day and a month, so we're going to give her this. Here we see that something is wrong. Either the symbol of the little hat tells us the place that is invalid. It would therefore be necessary to change the format and instead put the whole month, i.e., February, rather than the number 2. This time, the order is accepted. If you see a return to the line without a message, it is because the command is good and it has been sent. Only a new empty line proves that the order has been accepted. What's convenient with the command line is that you don't have to type the controls completely. Let's take an example. If you type only the letters CLO plus question mark, That's enough for the iOS to understand that you want to type the clock command, because there is only this command that starts with CLO. And as after the clock command, only the word set exists, if you type only an S, it will be enough for the iOS to understand that you want to use the word set. And if the iOS feels that there are not enough letters in the word for it to be unique, then it will have this type of error message. As the switch does not know what one means by CL, then it will tell us that it is an ambiguous command. What if you do a CL and question mark? We see that the word clear and clock both start with CL, so the iOS will not know which of the two commands we want to use. That's why in this case, the abbreviation won't work. The CLI offers some very useful shortcuts to use. The tabulation button automatically completes a command or keyword, which is very useful. For example, if you type CLO and then the tab button, the iOS will automatically complete the 3 letters with the word clock. The Ctrl+A brings your cursor to the beginning of the line. This is faster than pressing the left arrow several times. Cause your sliders to the end of the line. A Ctrl+Shift+6 stops the processes, such as a ping. A Ctrl+C cancels the current command you are typing and leaves the configuration mode. And a Ctrl+Z ends the configuration mode. The iOS Cisco keeps a history of all the commands you've previously entered, thanks to the Show History command. By default, it only backs up the last 10 commands typed, but it is possible to lift this limit with the command terminal history size. In the example, I asked to have the last 50 commands displayed in the iOS history.